At the time of this recording, every single team in the NFC North has a negative cap space. How does that happen? I don't know if I've ever seen that before. This is going to be an interesting one. What's going on, guys? Dick Support here, back to you with another video. And this is my fourth video, and I can't believe I have not said this. The cap numbers that I'm getting are from over the cap at the time of recording. So things are going to change by the time I upload this video. And I'm just saying that right now. The cap numbers are going to be different by the time this is uploaded. And I have to mention that. And I really should have been mentioning that through the first few videos, and I wasn't. And I'm sorry about that. But now, we're going to move past that, and we're going to jump right in, starting with the Chicago Bears. What a freaking year by the Bears. What a freaking year. They just rebound after falling apart last year. Caleb Williams had a very, very good season. Ben Johnson was an absolute breath of fresh air for the Bears and their fans. They get back to the playoffs. I mean, they beat the Packers. They come back against the Packers. That was... Man, what a way to win a playoff game against your rival and with a comeback. That was amazing. So they do pick 25th overall because they got knocked out in the divisional round. But the future looks bright in Chicago. Now, they do have things they need to figure out this offseason if they want to get to that next step. First things first, they have negative $6 million in cap space. They've got to free up some space. And it's easy to get under the cap, but to the point where they can make some moves, we'll see what they can do. In terms of top needs, I would definitely look at safety. That's definitely a position where they could get better. I mean, Kevin Byard's a free agent. Defensive line, another position where definitely they could use some more guys. At the edge position, Montez Sweat is a bona fide #1 guy in terms of sacking the quarterback. Who else is there? Okay, Joe Tryon's a free agent. Who else is going to be there? Offensive tackle, definitely want to make sure that is going to be shored up. And then linebacker, another case where just make sure you're shoring up that position. And if Chicago makes the right moves, they could go even farther. Now, in terms of other free agents that they haven't mentioned, Byard and Tryon, Jonathan Owens, one of their safeties, is a free agent. We all know who he is. Yes, Simone Biles' husband, but he's a pretty solid safety. And then Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's also going to be a free agent. We know Johnson's been in this league for a while, been a very solid guy. And then Jaquan Brisker's also a free agent. He's been in the league for a while. It's really a case of the Bears need to worry more about depth than they do bringing in more stars to this team because they have enough guys. It's just making sure this team's complete and making sure you have depth just in case something does happen. And Bears can do that. Make the right moves, get the right guys in, and they gel with the locker room. Like I said, they could go far next year. This is really a case of, I think anything that's not getting to a deep playoff run would be considered a disappointment because just of what that season was. And sometimes when that happens, it can be a little tricky. Oh man, it was bad for the Lions last year. I mean, this was a team that 2 years ago went to the championship game, but then got the #1 seed the following year, but got knocked down in the divisional round. And then last year, they didn't even make the playoffs. Didn't even make it. And it was just a frustrating year for them. So what happens now? Well, they did make a move today. They traded David Montgomery to the Houston Texans. And that actually knocked down their cap because they were at -12 yesterday. And then today they're at -10. And you can tell when the time of this recording is. They do have the 17th overall pick. They are the highest pick for the NFC North. It's kind of funny because all these teams from this one division are picking outside the top half of the draft, which is just something you don't see. You don't see that every day. And I just had to mention that. But for them to rebound, it's definitely making sure they're bringing in the right people and making sure, well, their guys stay healthy and make sure that this year that they prove it's just a fluke and they're going to be good again for a while. Now, in terms of needs, secondary, that's got to be one. When Brian Branch went down with injury last year, secondary just seemed like it fell apart. On the interior of the offensive line, definitely want to make sure that is shored up. And then at the edge position, I mean, Aiden Hutchinson is just a beast. Who else is there? Who else is going to be there for them? You have DJ Reader, who's a free agent. Alex Anzalone, who's a free agent. Khalif Raymond is a free agent. Josh Pascal and Marcus Davenport, two guys that are depth pieces on the edge position. Both of those guys are free agents. Arthur Mouled, one of the guys from the corner position, and another corner, Rocky Inson's also a free agent. Really, just like the Bears, it's more about getting the pieces to finish this team more than it is getting stars, because they have stars. They have stars all over that team. Now it's finishing this team and making sure that we can improve and show we can make that run. They can do that, just like with the Bears. They're going to be fine. But the question's going to be, will they do that? Packers have a lot to answer for right now. Because last year, they lose the division to the Chicago Bears. And then they jump out to this huge lead in the wild card round. It looks like they're going to upset the number 2 seed again, which happened to be the Chicago Bears. And then they just fell apart. That second half was brutal. And at this point, I don't know where they go from here. I mean, Jordan Love to me is still a really good quarterback, but it just seems like this team is having a little bit of an identity crisis. And I don't know where the solution comes from. This is really something that they're probably going to have to really dig deep and figure out, why did this happen? And if they can figure out the answer, I mean, they can improve, but if they don't figure out the answer, they could fall apart. And they don't have a first-round pick this year, okay? They don't have one because they traded that to the Cowboys for Micah Parsons. Now, Parsons is going to be coming off an injury, and as great as he was, he definitely needs some help, because it seemed like at times he was the only guy that could generate pressure other than maybe Rashawn Gary. And Gary, the fans have had some issues with him since he signed that contract. So if Gary can get back on track, and they can bring some other guys in that can rush the passer to help out Parsons, that would be a big help to them. Then also on the defensive line, definitely want to make sure that is situated as well. And that's going to help out the edge position a whole lot. I mean, they traded away Kenny Clark, who was one of the best interior defensive linemen for a while in this league. Trading him away definitely affected the defensive line a little bit. At corner, I mean, they're still trying to figure out what to do there. I mean, Jair Alexander was let go during the offseason last year. They brought in Trayvon Diggs late in the season, but now he's going to be gone. And then on the offensive line, definitely want to make sure that is shored up. You want to protect your quarterback. In terms of free agents, and probably the top quarterback on the market, Malik Willis. Now, Willis, during his time taking over for Jordan Love, he played great. All right, he played great, and he's probably going to make a lot of money this offseason because he's the best quarterback on this free agency market. And the quarterback class for this year is not good, to say the least. This QB class for the draft, it's not great. I mean, like I said, Fernando Mendoza is the only one that I have a first-round grade on. And yes, spoilers for another video. So Willis is definitely going to have a market. Where's he going to go? That's the question. And how much is he going to get? I'm not sure. I know of at least 3 teams to start that are going to go after him. One being the New York Jets. Definitely, I would think another one would be the Arizona Cardinals. It's just tough right now because I'm not entirely sure what these teams are going to do and what they're willing to pay for Willis. So this is really where you're kind of shooting in the dark to figure out what the numbers are going to look like, because Willis, while he did look good in his limited time last year taking over for Love, he still has not been a full-time starter in the NFL. This is a big risk. But then again, when you have a quarterback class that's not as good, you have to take some chances. So we'll see what happens with Willis. But like I said, probably the top quarterback on the free agency market. And again, with the quarterback class in the draft not looking great, we'll see what teams decide to do. Minnesota, I've got a few questions for you. One, how are you going to get under the cap when you are $45 million over it at the time of this recording? How are you going to do it? We're going to find out for that one. But your second thing, and probably the biggest question you guys are going to have until the season starts, what's going on at the quarterback position? How much are you trusting J.J. McCarthy at this point? McCarthy, they draft 10th overall. He misses his rookie season. This year, he's healthy, but not for long. He got hurt again, but also he wasn't playing great football by the time he got hurt. Yeah, it's not looking great for McCarthy at this point, 2 years into his NFL career. And I don't know where the Vikings go from here. Could they go after a quarterback to bring in competition for McCarthy? Of course they will. Could they also bring in a guy that could replace McCarthy and have him take over as starter? Yeah, they definitely could. But I'm not sure which way they're going to go. And they could decide to do neither and say, hey, we know it was a bad year last year, but we're putting our trust into you. Go out and show us that you can be the guy. McCarthy did have questions going into the draft because he was more of a game manager at Michigan. It's a tough one. It definitely is a tough one when you're trying to figure out what's going to happen with J.J. McCarthy and the future of his career. But only the Vikings can answer what happens right now. Now, in terms of what they need in free agency, corner's definitely a need that I could see. Also, safety Harrison Smith. He's had a great career. I think he's calling it after this. And then Ryan Kelly could also call it a career because he's had multiple concussions, so he could call it. And if that happens, they're definitely going to need a center. And then on the interior of the defensive line, they're going to need help there as well. Eric Wilson's a free agent, so is Jeff Okudah. You have Carson Wentz. I want to see what happens with Carson Wentz. You know, we talk about the quarterback market, but the backup quarterback market isn't looking too great. And Carson Wentz definitely is going to have some teams want him because, you know, former second overall pick, showed some success, can still bring value as a backup. Justin Naylor, one of their reserve receivers, is a free agent. And really with Minnesota, you're looking at them, and at the moment, they're looking like the fourth best team in this division. And the other three, you have Green Bay and Chicago that were playoff teams, and Detroit who could easily rebound after last year, and then there's Minnesota, and that's the team that you had the most questions about, and they're picking 18th overall. They just missed the playoffs. It's just weird with this division how it was last year. So it might have been the second best division in all of football. And right now, Minnesota, they have a lot of questions to answer, but the biggest one, what happens at quarterback, and do they trust J.J. McCarthy? Alright guys, those are my thoughts on the NFC North. Let me know what you think. What are the top needs for each of these teams in the division? Where do you think Malik Willis is going to go? And should the Vikings put their trust in J.J. McCarthy after the season that he had last year? Let me know what you think. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. The next video up will be the AFC South.